We have on Mr. Graham Cochrane. Graham is talking to us today about how to actually make money based on the skills that you already possess. We are going to be diving in. Do you want blissful balance in your personal and professional life? Great. What's up, guys? My name is Kerry Jack, and I want to help you happy hustle, a life you love, one full of passion, purpose, and positive impact. I'm a lifestyle entrepreneur, a professional model / actor, a digital marketing specialist, a podcast host, author, a biohacker, an eco-warrior, a martial artist, a hippie cowboy, and a humanitarian. My goal is to educate, inspire, and entertain you to live a life of passion, purpose, and positive impact. It is time to happy hustle your dream reality. Yee! All right, Mr. Graham Cochrane, welcome to the Happy Hustle Podcast, my brother. I am super stoked to rock the mic with you.
Dude, I'm pumped to be here, man.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I mean, you are a happy hustler for real. And I'm really excited to just extract some of your wisdom and share it with the happy hustlers, because not only are you a TEDx speaker, you're the author of How to Get Paid for What You Know, which I'm really stoked to actually share some of that, like online business success secrets that you've been able to build multi-million-dollar businesses online because you had got the formula. And we're going to get into that with the happy hustlers. But also, you're the host of the Graham Cochrane Show, which has been downloaded over 1 million times. You also have been featured in Forbes and CNBC and Business Insider and a ton of other great outlets. But before we get into all that good stuff, Graham, what is something interesting about yourself that not too many people know?
Well, I always say in these kind of games that the truth or a lie, whatever, is that I'm a second degree black belt in Shotokan karate, because people don't look at me as that
Yeah.
scary of a guy. But yeah, I did karate for a long time. That was one of my passions. And then the other one is that man, I almost was a rock star. That was my dream, was to be a rock star and just be famous and make music videos on MTV and tour the world.
And what kind of music were you doing? Because like I knew you and I talked karate in the past, because I've been doing Ishinru karate, just starting off again in a different path. But the Rockstar one is super interesting, and I could totally see you going that path. What's the type of music that you were doing?
I grew up on the early 90s grunge scene. So the Soundgardens, the Pearl Jams, the Stone Temple Pilots,
Nice.
Alice in Chains, Nirvana, Foo Fighters. That was my world, man. So I just wanted to do more of that in the early 2000s, and didn't quite work out for me. I got a couple of developmental deals, which aren't really deals at all. It's like when a label's like, hey, we'll sign you, but we won't give you any money. We'll just see what you
Oh,
do first, and then we'll throw money on it if it's working. And I was that didn't work for me because I was engaged to be married at age 22, and I needed a job. So like that dream kind of died quick, unfortunately.
yeah. Well, you still sing at church, right? And perform, you know, on your
Yep.
keynotes, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point. Is like, if like we look at our life, and I don't know, we can get into it, but like wherever you are in life, you kind of sometimes feel like you've been making these weird zigzag turns and reinventing yourself or pivoting. Everyone's story is a little bit different, but a lot of people I talk to have some sort of zigzag, and it's frustrating in the moment for many of us. But if you look back, you can start to see, wow, like that skill was useful, that wasn't wasted, and like that was applied in different areas. So yeah, I've used my performance. I was a theater kid, I was a musician. I've used not only those skills in my church and serving on the worship team and all that kind of stuff, but yeah, being on stage, delivering a keynote, like leading a group coaching, like even doing a podcast. When you're talking to a camera, there's no stage, but like you know that millions of people are going to hear this, and so you have to have the communication skills. Like so many of those things I use today, I just never thought I would use them in this way.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually a really great point, because I feel similarly about my improv background at Second City in Chicago. Like I did 3.5 years of improv there, and like that is such a valuable skill that I know I utilize on the regular. And I know you use, even just like nonverbal communication skills, and like knowing how to sell is a skill that you use across, like how to get your wife to go to a date night, or how to get your kids to brush their teeth. Like you sell, like there's so many of these transmutable skills, and I want to actually share some of those skills that these people um not these people, the people out there who are wanting to actually use their skills to get paid for actually like what they know, which is, such a great topic. When you were first of all writing this book, like, the book all on how to get paid for what you know, what was even the genesis behind that?
Well, I mean, the idea was like I stumbled into a business model in 2009 that not many people were doing. There were people doing it. I mean, the Jeff Walkers of the world had been around since the 90s, and I didn't know that. And there was, the Amy Porterfields of the world were probably getting started, the Ramit Sethi's of the world. There were people selling online courses, communities, but it's not like it is today, right? It was
Yeah.
very much the dark ages back then. And not only that, I didn't know who they were. So in short, short story, 2009, I'm unemployed, married, baby was born, bought my first house in a new state, a new city, and trying to find a way to make a living. And I thought what I was going to do was try to get some leads for my freelance recording and music production business that I was kind of just as like a side hustle. And I was like, well, I'll just go all in on this side hustle. And so I started a YouTube channel and a blog thinking I could get some leads for remote work. I had no idea that the content I was putting out there, people were more interested in the content itself,
Mm.
learning how to do what I knew how to do so they could DIY it themselves. And they were fascinated. And I didn't realize that like this was that revolutionary. I feel like you could read this in a book, you could see this in a magazine, but somehow in the way I was communicating it, and
Yep.
the way I was connecting the dots for people, they liked that. And it turns out they were willing to pay me for that in the form of courses and communities. So the reason I wrote the book is because this model that I groped through the dark and figured out like kind of on my own until I realized it was a legitimate model that others were doing. Um, it's changed my life. I mean, it's allowed me and my family to live an incredible lifestyle. I barely am in the office. We
Yeah.
can travel. We can all the things that you're a big proponent of. It's like changed my world. And also, this is what I gave my TED talk on, which is on generosity and giving, like why givers are happier and have less money stress. Giving is a huge part of my world. We've always been generous, but we just never had much money. I mean, I was trying to be a musician, so I never had a whole lot of money,
Yeah.
and that's why I know my wife really loves me because she married me when I was broke. But like now, like we can give so much money away. It's like the
Mm.
funnest thing we've ever done because the business has grown and the business isn't tied to how many hours I work. So like
Yeah.
it's changed our lives. And so I was like, I knew I wanted to be an author, talk about like
Yeah.
reinventing yourself, and a speaker. And so when I signed a publishing deal, it was like, well, what's the most logical book I could write? I'm like, we should write the book on this business model. And I didn't know what to call it. And then they were asking me, well, what's the book about? I'm like, well, it's about how to get paid for what you know. I'm like, well, that's the title, bro. And so that's kind of how we got there.
Dude, I love that. I mean, it really is so awesome to hear. First of all, because like you had such humble roots, like you weren't a trust fund baby. No one like gave you this business model. Like you had to create it and do it yourself. Obviously, you had help and support and mentors and whatnot, I'm sure. And we all, like they say, stand upon the shoulders of giants. But I just really appreciate your journey to get to where you are and then to help others do the same. Like that to me is the dream, and what it's all about is like having the financial freedom, the creative freedom, and the time freedom. Those three freedoms that everyone out there craves. And how to actually do it though in like a tactical way is really what you wrote the book on. And
Yeah.
that's what I want to even like stay here and really get deeper. So if we could walk us through, just high level, like the book contents, and like someone who really has a valuable skill, but maybe they don't even like really know it yet. If you had a like to give them just a synopsis of like, hey, here's how you could monetize this skill. Walk us through that process if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We'll give it to you straight. So there's an industry, if you're not aware of it, and you probably are because you see it all the time, but people get this business model confused with another business model. So maybe let's start there. What I do, because I'm on YouTube, I got a podcast, you're doing similar stuff. I'm not an influencer, and that's not what I'm teaching because the influencer model is grow a big audience so that then you can do brand deals and brands will pay you to get their brand in front of your audience, or you can do sponsored posts or just run ads on your content on YouTube. And so that model is a model. It's a great model, but it
Yeah.
requires a really big audience. because brands aren't going to pay you money if you don't have a big audience. That's what most people think I'm doing. What I teach in the book and what I teach my clients is something very different. You don't need a big audience. You do need an audience, though. But what we're doing is not selling our audience, their eyeballs, to other brands. We're actually selling our own knowledge. And we're
Mm.
selling really not even the knowledge itself. The title, How to Get Paid for What You Know, but really what people are paying for is the organization of our knowledge and the curation, I like to use that word, and
Yeah.
then the sort of the if you look on YouTube, I mean, there's a million videos on whatever topic you want, but they're all random. They're all out of order. They all don't make sense. But if I could pay you to give me the step A to Z of like how to do a certain thing, achieve a certain thing. We were talking about like virtual assistants or like how to, whatever it is, like I
Yeah.
teach people A to Z how to launch, scale their online business. That's what they're paying for, is that course. They're paying for interaction with you as the coach, because in these digital backends, they can ask questions and get more personalized attention. And then you can offer coaching or smaller group coaching products or even one-on-one coaching, which now they're paying for proximity to you as
Mm.
well. But it's all based around your knowledge. And so the principle is simple. What do you know that would be valuable to somebody else? And I try to talk about this in chapter 3 of the book, is how to figure out your profitable business idea. And people, first of all, get stuck here because they go, hey, Graham, I'm not an expert. And they're like, I'm not an expert. And I say that you don't have to be an expert. That's language that we should throw out of our vocabulary, because people don't pay
Mm.
for experts anymore. They used to. People pay for a voice that they like learning from, that they can relate to. They're paying for the person.
Yeah.
And so somebody may not like learning business from me. They might not like my personality, but there's people that don't like Grant Cardone's personality,
Yep.
or Gary Vee's personality, but they might like my personality. So they'll learn from me, and they might learn from you because of your personality, your experience, the way you think about things. And you just have to be one step ahead of your avatar, because all you're really doing is helping them achieve some transformation that either you've had in your own life or
Yep.
that you've helped other people do. Even if you've never sold that or never been a coach, people probably come to you for advice on a topic, or they see that you've done a thing, whether you lost weight or you got your finances in order or your marriage is really good. Like, what are they texting you about? What are they asking you for help on? Those are clues as to what other people at least see in you that's valuable. And then
Yeah.
it's really about finding that intersection between what is there a market for out there in the real world, and what do you like to talk about? What do you like to do? Because there's things I like to do, but I don't know if I'd want to build a business around it. There's things that I could help people with, but it's not interesting to me. So it's really finding the intersection between what you love and are good at and have some experience with, and what the market finds valuable.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's a great breakdown. And, you know, we all have that imposter syndrome too, in some capacity. Oh, who am I to share this message? So and so has more following or more, views or more money or whatever. And what Graham's saying, and what I hope all the happy hustlers are hearing, is like, there is someone out there who needs your message, how you share it. And it's your personality and your life experiences that will relate to them more so than anyone else. And you're doing them a disservice as well as your own, self and financial future and potential impact by not sharing it. Now, I do want to fast forward. Let's say that we have identified a skill, right? Something valuable that is like potentially out there, someone's willing to pay for it, right? What's the
Mhm.
next step? Like, what do you recommend? Do we set up a web page? Do we like, give it away for free and get testimonials? Like, what's your take on the next step?
Yeah, so here's like my business model in a nutshell is create valuable free organic content that's searchable on the internet. So that's ideally like a YouTube channel, because YouTube isn't a social media platform, it's a search engine, right? It's very, very
Hmm.
powerful for search. So that's how people will find you, is because they're searching how to like fix my toilet, or like how to work on my marriage, or how to get ripped. And then they're going to find your videos, because that's what YouTube does. So, or a blog post or a podcast. So like those are, and then they're searchable, but they're more than that. They're evergreen. They stay around forever.
Yeah.
Whereas if you do a bunch of TikTok videos or Instagram reels, unless it goes viral, it really will just get buried in the feed.
Yeah.
So I say pick a platform. Like if I had to pick one, just gun to my head, it's YouTube. If I had to only do one thing, it'd be on YouTube.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is like, that's one part of the thing is I'm creating content every week, at least once a week on that platform on a topic that people care about and they're finding me. And then what I'm doing in that content is blowing their minds for free, teaching them everything I know for free, like being so generous that people are like, oh my gosh, he should charge for this. That's when you know you're on the right path, is you're giving them so much value for free because they're test driving you. They're not going to buy anything from you if they don't get a chance to like learn what you say to do. They go do it. It worked. And they go, wow, Carrie was absolutely right. Like I need to do what he says more. So you blow their minds. And in that piece of content, you invite them deeper into the relationship with you by offering them additional private free content. But in order to get that, they have to join your email list. And this is huge. People miss the email list because it's the invisible engine that's driving most sales on the internet right now that nobody sees because it
Mm-hmm.
happens privately from a brand, from whether it's Home Depot or Gap or Lululemon. They're making most of their money through email marketing, not through social, not through anything else. I mean, the data is pretty clear. That's
Yep.
what drives sales, at least. So you need the list. Also, because I don't trust a single platform. I don't trust Instagram. I don't trust YouTube, even though I've built 2 businesses on YouTube. Anything could change. And that the audience you build isn't your audience. Like Michael Hyatt said this years ago, and he's been right. He's been like way on the cusp of this, is social media is renting an audience. Your email list is owning the audience. And so like a
Mm-hmm.
tenant, like you'd be kicked out of your house if you're renting it, if the landlord wants to sell or do whatever, but you need to own your own house. So don't rent it from Zuckerberg or any of these people. Get those people who found you on YouTube or your podcast onto your email list by offering them more free value. Once they're on that list, there's tools like MailChimp or ConvertKit or Kajabi that will automatically send them some emails that you've already written one time that follow up, add value, blow their minds, and then offer them a paid digital product. And that could be an online video course. That could be a paid private community that you run. That could be a group coaching program. Or it could be like, hey, book a call to do one-on-one coaching if you really want to do the one-on-one thing. Either way, you're spending most of your time every week creating valuable free content for the internet for people to love. And then the system brings them into your ecosystem automatically and privately sells them whatever you have to offer without you having to promote all the time on the internet. It's the greatest thing because you get to be a generous person on the public side of things, and privately you're delivering value and selling without having to be there, and the robots sell for you, and then your business starts to thrive from there. That's the model in a nutshell.
Yeah. And it's such a such a amazing breakdown again, Graham, of how to actually set that stuff up. A couple things I want to echo. One, like renting versus owning, like it is legit rented real estate. And we both know plenty of friends of ours who've lost their business overnight because they were renting and they built a big audience and then they got Google slapped and everything turns off, and like,
Yeah.
oh, you're shadow banned or whatever. Like you have, one thing that breaks guidelines and you're screwed. So you really need to build your own email list that you own, and then you can set up a very seamless email sequence that delivers maximum value. I like to recommend, and I know our mutual friend Rory talks about this too, is actually putting a 3-part like video series right in the beginning of your drip sequence campaign, where that you're actually giving them like legit valuable content in a 3-part series, and then you could follow up with a digital product or some type of course or community access, or a soft pitch, will you? Right. But you give value first. And it's again, the whatever Gary talks about, the jab, 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 right hook, right? Where you're actually
Yeah.
giving, giving, giving. And then you can earn the right to make an offer. I think a lot of people out there, they're just pitching, man. We talked about poor
Yeah.
pitches pre-chat. People pitch us all the
Yeah.
time, and it's like, it's just sad. You really, the amount of effort it takes to put a good pitch together versus a poor pitch is not that different. Like it just is a little bit of research, and knowing who you're pitching and your real like ways that you can serve them. I don't want to get on a tangent here, but this this is a
I feel
topic.
that pain.
You get it, man. You get it. When it comes to the like digital product that you recommend, like I know you have a course, for example. Is that what you
Mhm.
recommend? Like I want to make it so like someone hears this episode and they're like, "Hey, I can actually like go do this thing. So like I want to get Graham's best practices on the mic if possible. Well, what is that, like that go-to digital product that you would tell a client, hey, you got this great skill, you're building your audience. This is what I would recommend selling, or at least a format.
Yeah, it's a great question. So, in an ideal world, the best product is a video course. And the reason why is it's best for you and it's best for them, in that for them, it's a one-time purchase. If they don't know you, they may not want to sign up for a subscription to a
Yep.
membership yet because they don't know you. So they rather just like, let me make one-time investment. And really, it's also the easiest thing to sell because a course should be selling a transformation, like lose weight in the next 90 days, like improve your marriage, learn how to record your first song, like whatever it is, like it's got an end point. So it's easier for you to make that promise, like, hey, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to do this thing. And the best part for you then is that it's do the work once, set up the course, the sales page, the email funnel that sells it. You do the work once and it sells forever. I'll give you an example. I made a course in 2011 for my first brand, the Recording Revolution, and it was called Rethink Mixing, and it was teaching musicians how to do this one specific post-production skill called mixing. I sold it for $97. I filmed it in like 2 days. It wasn't even shot in HD, horrible quality, but the content was really, really good. And that thing sold for 7 years on autopilot and made me $1 million. Just that one little $97
Wow.
course. I never updated it. I never had to do anything. Like I just made it, put it in my email funnel, and it just printed money for me forever. So to me, that's the most magical product, is an online course. And it could be a small one. You could do, we call them mini courses internally. I wouldn't call that publicly, but it's just like, it could be an hour of content, 2 hours of content. In fact, the shorter the better, because people are busy these days. They don't want to watch
It's
30
true.
hours of video. They just want to get a result fast. So you could make a one-time course, put it in your automated sequence that we talked about coming off of a YouTube channel or a podcast. And again, that's after you've given them value to get on your email list for free. And then you can start to make money automatically as your audience grows and your email list grows. Your same effort over time, you'll get momentum. Your channel will grow, your podcast will grow. The same amount of effort you're putting in will increase your income because more people are seeing your offer. That's the foundation. But the quick preview would be, is it probably can't stop there. Like you really want to have a vision for eventually having a whole suite of products that have different types of offers for different reasons. I like having a membership that's a recurring product.
Yep.
It's also that allows you to have a community.
Yep.
I like having high ticket like group coaching or a mastermind for like your super fans. That it's just fun for you too, because you get to work with the best of the best and they pay you a lot. And you can have
Yeah.
one-on-one premium coaching if you still want to do that. You can do live events, you can do all kinds of stuff, but it starts for me with a single video course.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, that's like textbook, like internet best practices, what Graham just said, in my opinion, and from all the mentors that I've learned from. And it's like really sage words, because it starts with that video course. And let me be clear, like I think Graham would, you'd probably even like agree. Your first course probably won't make $1 million. Most people, like Graham,
No,
that was your first course, wasn't it? You said.
that wasn't even, that was my 6th course.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So
Yeah.
to your point, like it took you 5 times to like get it working. So don't feel discouraged if it doesn't. Like I remember the first course that I really did was I was, professional modeling and acting, and I would get hit up all the time. Hey, how did you get an agent? How do you get paid to work with Corona or Home Depot or like, you know, Jeep, and like be on these commercials? And I was like, well, let me just make a course, because I don't want to tell everyone the same exact steps. It gets a little, old. So I
Mm.
did a course with my wife, Steph. She was just my girlfriend at the time, and we said like how to become a professional model and gain agency representation. And we spent all this time and money creating it. We made it like 1997, which is like it was like coaching,
Wow.
course, the whole shebang, and we sold like 2. And I was like, what the
Yeah.
heck? Like this was supposed to crush. And I was like, I realized a valuable lesson: pre-sell whenever possible.
Mm.
Pre-sell, because people will tell you all day that they want your stuff, but until they pull out a credit card and actually pay for it, it doesn't really mean much. So
Mm,
pre-sell and then build the course based on that beta groups experience
mm,
of going through the knowledge that you're transitioning. So for example, you could easily create the same course, how to get paid to get to be a professional model and gain agency representation, but rather than like building a course on the front end, what we then did was took like a group of beta people who paid, and we did like a once a week like training on each specific topic, which we recorded. Then we put that into a course which had live Q&A and it was more interactive. And then that is what we still sell. It's still on my website. I still make money from it. It's $197 now, but it goes, then you can put it on Udemy and Teachable and all these other platforms to gain traffic. Now you do have to do rev share on some of those. You're talking about hosting it yourself, right, Graham? Your course?
right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, and I just did a sales course to your point. I did one, 2 months ago, and it's out there, thehappyhustle.com/sales, shameless plug. But the truth is, that's
Yeah.
like an hour and a half course max, but it'll teach someone guaranteed how to make more money and convert more prospects into leads. But it's like the dirty, juicy goodness. Like we're not fluffing it. And I don't think you were
Yeah.
fluffing it with your course. Like I know you
Oh
actually
no.
have a workshop that you even just give people like completely for
Yeah.
free that goes through a lot of this stuff. I mean, I'm sure people are out there like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. I should probably consume more of his stuff. Where can people even go to like get that free workshop?
Oh yeah, grahamcochrane.com/gift. Just check it out. And what it literally like, and I'll tell you at the end, it's going to pitch you a course of mine if you really want to dive deep, but you don't even have
Yeah.
to buy the course. Like if you watch the first 45 minutes, it's like, here's the model, there's swipe copy, there's templates. Like I've had clients go build a $45,000 launch off of that free thing. And they email
Jeez.
me and they feel so guilty that they want to just give me money for nothing because they didn't buy any of my stuff. And so, yeah, you could build it off of that, grahamcochrane.com/gift. And hey,
Yeah.
to that point, here's the biggest mistake people make, Carrie, is they get so infatuated with the idea of passive income in an online course that they're thinking course, they're thinking digital products,
Yeah.
and they're like what you said. They have an idea, they build it, and then they have no one to sell it to because they don't have an audience. One, and then B, they don't even know if it's what people actually want to buy, even though it sounds like a good idea in their heads. So here's what I tell students, and they don't like to hear this. This is why I'm probably not as popular as I should be, is I tell people that the business model I teach is slow. Like I actually recommend you build an audience first, create content, get your sea legs on, as a content creator, and start to figure out what your content pillars are, what content you're really good at, and what people actually care about. If you taught like 10 different concepts on your YouTube channel, it's probably only one or two people really care about, and that will be interesting to you to note, okay, of all the things I could teach, they really like this topic. That's probably where I should make my first paid product, is around that topic. And if you're
Mm,
unsure, and if you want to speed it up, the fastest thing you could do is don't sell a course, just offer one-on-one coaching and just
yeah.
and get people to pay you, even if it's a nominal fee, to get on a Zoom call and blow their minds. And you're getting paid to learn what your avatar wants and needs and where they get stuck. And then that can inform what maybe you put in a course.
Mm, yeah. I mean, like that is exactly the mistake that I think most people make. I made it, I think it's like I hope everyone out there, all the happy hustlers, don't make that same mistake of like just blindly putting a product and service out there without like testing it with your audience and really adding sufficient value first, because unfortunately chances are, especially in this day and age where attention is the most precious commodity, you know, it's hard to go cold traffic to conversion, especially if it's, you're not an established authority and you don't have any trust with that audience. You logically just got to think about your own buying persona. Like, would you give someone money first time off of, like a generic like pitch that, this person doesn't really have the credibility? Probably not, so again, I always result back to people buy with emotion, but they justify with logic. Emotionally, yes, get them charged up. Oh, okay. You can make passive income. I know your thing is, you can actually make $1,000 a month with just 30 minutes a day. Like that is an amazing promise. Emotionally, I feel that. I'm like, oh yeah. $1,000 a month and 30 minutes a day. But logically, it's got to make sense in order for me to pull the trigger,
Yeah.
right? And so then you get into like, this is exactly your 45-minute workshop on how you built a $1 million a year passive income business model. Like it's just that logically makes sense. It's a step by step. And I think one thing even Hermosi talks about, I know you just had Layla on your podcast, but he talks about how I over how to, right? It's like how I did this, not how
Mm,
to even, because like that's even like your book, that's how you did it, like how I built this
yeah.
passive income machine, right? And people want to
Yeah.
learn from other people's experiences, not just theory, and I
Yeah.
think that's my 2 cents on the topic. I'll pause here in case you have any interjections.
Oh, no, I think that's a great point, which brings us back to some of the imposter syndrome people feel
Yeah.
of like, who am I to do this? Because they don't feel like, and this is how okay, I'll speak for myself. I, in 2009, did not feel like I had enough knowledge or
Mm,
expertise to become an authority on the internet around music production and recording, even though I had a college degree on this subject. I just felt like I'm not a professor. I'm not a Grammy award winning producer. All my clients are indie artists you've never heard of, so I don't have any famous people that I'm working with. So that was just the way my brain worked. What I did not realize is that none of that matters. What matters is if I do have experience doing the thing, and people want to learn how other people are doing things. We're fascinated with how people do things, how they like. I was dorking out the other day watching videos on YouTube about how to pack your carry-on luggage better and more strategically. And
mm.
like it wasn't that I was looking for a carry-on expert or like a professional packer or a butler. I just wanted to see how normal people, do they roll their shirts? Do they fold their shirts? Like, do they use packing cubes or not? Like, I'm just voyeuristically curious as to how others are doing it. And that's really the angle where a lot of people are, is like, people ask my wife and I, we've been married almost 18 years. We have two girls, 14 and 11. And they on the outside looking in, they think we're a happy family, and I think on the whole we are. We have some issues, so come live with us for a while, and you'll see the dark side. But I think people are like, how have you stayed married, and how are you guys still in love, and how do your kids seem so well adjusted? Like, they want to know how. And we're not parenting experts, but we're realizing we could help a lot of people just by sharing what we've done,
Yeah,
how we think about it. And you do pick and choose. If you like some of the things, great. If you don't agree with some of our philosophies, great. I'm not trying to be a guru. I don't think
yeah.
there are gurus anymore. But I think we love how we can learn from other people. And if you can just get over yourself and get over your fear, you can make a lot of money just by sharing what you've learned and what you've discovered with others.
Oh yeah, man. Dude, the info education business like online is multi-billion dollar industry. And to your point, like you would be shocked what people are searching for help with. And I do want to stay there with the marriage and being a father, and a husband. Like the happy hustle is all about the holistic approach to happiness and in really personal and professional life balance, which I know is something big for you. And I am curious, like when you think about that personal and professional life balance, what do you think, if you can kind of distill your mentality around managing these these components of life, what do you think your mentality is and has become in order to have this balanced lifestyle that you now possess?
I mean, I think for me, as much as I have had career ambitions and dreams, like I said, wanting to be a musician, like I wanted to do something great. I want to do great things that impact people. And you and I were talking before we hit record about some of the new things, like with my new book coming out next year, and kind of just shifting into some bigger concepts and bigger lanes and helping people in a bigger way. Like my view of what I could do and who I can help is expanding. So I still have like I'm thinking about the next 20 years of how I can be great and instill greatness in others. I think even though that's a huge part of how I think about life and how I show up is like my work, like my work is not my life. And I know that because you just look at so many people who are successful in their career and their work, and they make money, and their marriages are falling apart.
Mm.
Their kids don't want to talk to them. The only people who like them the most are the people outside of their family. Like, that's a problem. If the
Yeah.
people who are in your family don't want to be around you, but the people who are outside of your family think you're amazing, something is wrong there. And so I see that and I go, man, I don't want to end like that. I want to end well, because I think about the eternal things, like loving my wife and leading her in the way I'm supposed to, and being like a husband, like that's supportive of her and like protects her and like allows her to flourish. That's my number one job in terms of human relationship. Number two is like I've been given two daughters. They're the coolest people ever. I love them so much. Like, my job is to parent them well. And like, parenting has stages, right? Like, when you got a baby coming, like, you're just keeping the kids alive, and then there's a stage of like,
Yeah.
it's just like follow commands, like you have to learn how to do this and not do this, and then they get to this teenager stage where you're not telling them what to do. You really need to be coaching them, because they need to learn how to make decisions on their own. And so, like, I still have wisdom, but I'm in a coaching season with my parents, right, where I'm coaching them how to think about decision making in life, and eventually they're going to be on their own. But that's a huge part of my responsibility, is loving them well, because they're going to be adults. And like, if I jack them up, and let's be real, we're jacking all our kids up to some degree, but if I jack them up
Yeah.
too much, like,
Yeah.
it's going to affect their future husbands and their future kids and the people they like I want to have ripple effects in their lives. And so my wife, my girls, my church, my friendships, my like, those are all equally part of me as my work, the books, the content, the courses, YouTube. But those are arguably more important, because my
Mm.
business, even though it's not just a way to make a living, I don't believe that at all. I do believe my work is a ministry. It's a way to serve the world. I mean, Jesus, if you're a person of faith, or even if you're not, Jesus is famous his words, right? Where the lawyers, it's always the lawyers come to him and they say, hey, of all the commands, like, what's the most important one? And he says, well, love God with all your soul, heart, strength. But the second is like it. He says, love your neighbor as yourself. Like, neighbor love, first of all, you got to know how to love yourself. If you don't
Mm.
love yourself very well, you're not going to love your neighbor very well, because he says, love your neighbor the way you love yourself. So think about
Mm-hmm.
that for a minute. Like, so love yourself well, but then loving your neighbor is the greatest thing we could do. And so I believe I love my neighbor through my business. Like, I create content that can change people's lives and make their lives better. But even then, like, the people that are most important to me are my wife and my kids. And so I'm supposed to love them well. They're my number one audience, my number one target avatar. They're the number one, like, people need to convert, like get 100% conversion rate of like their love and acceptance. Like, if they're disappointed in me, like, I've failed in my life. If my business is crushing, but
Mm.
my kids and my wife are just like heartbroken because of the way I've sort of just destroyed our family, if that happens, I'm a failure. So all that to say, it's like, how can I build a business that allows me to live like my
Mm.
values and allows my family to be front and center? And so practically, what does it look like for me? I've said no to a lot of money and opportunities. I've said no to a lot of travel that might have been really cool. Even though we travel a lot, like, I limit that. I've said no to like people that I could have partnered with that would have made a lot of money, but I would have been associated with their values, and I'm not judging them, but like, I'd have to tell my kids, like, Dad, why are you working with so and so? They believe in X and they champion Y. Is that what we believe and we champion? I'm like, ooh, that's an interesting point. So I've had to say no to some things, but
Yeah.
also say no to like building quickly. I put boundaries on my time in year one when I was on food stamps, bro. We were on food stamps for 18 months and I was starting the business from
Jeez.
scratch. The most I've ever put in my business was 32 hours a week. That's the most I've ever worked on it, because I had a mentor say, Graham, you can only work 4 days a week. You got to take Fridays off, because on the weekends I was volunteering at my church almost all day Saturday, almost all day Sunday. And she's like, you need a day off with your family. So he kind of convinced me to take Fridays off. So I've always had Fridays off. And even when I had no money. So I've never had the luxury of hustling hard in terms of like working 80 hours or working around the clock. It's always been family first, and then fit my business in around that. And then what's
Mm.
blown my mind is that has not hampered my ability to have a successful business or have impact. It's actually only gotten me more creative, because when there's boundaries, that's where creativity comes, and
Yep.
like, you will find a way to make it work. And it's just been the most beautiful gift ever. So like, I love the boundaries, family first, business second. Let's go.
Yeah. Woo. Hot fire. I mean, the The boundaries really truly do breed creativity, and I'm in a similar boat. Like, I'm typically about 20 hours per week, and it really it fosters, a discipline, but b, like, you have to leverage your time and be very creative when you're doing it. Okay, what is my most valuable tasks? And dude, that's an inspiring, journey that you've been on. I mean, from food stamps to now, like, running these multi-million dollar businesses. And I just think it's so cool that you really prioritize family and faith. And you know it's sad to me. That's even like a part of my burnout journey was I didn't prioritize anything but work early on. And my journey, and a lot of the happy hustlers do. But that was like some of the most gut wrenching, you know, parts of my story, I think, is like really when I think back of like how alone I felt because all I was doing was just on the grind. Thankfully, I had my brother, my business partner, best friend.
Yeah.
It's all the same person. But like him and I were at that grinding phase together, and it's just like you kind of you know you don't have to go through that. Like, you can learn from others mistakes. And like, here
Yeah.
Graham is like, I have never any dude, you're the first person I've ever heard who has built something of substantial value, like, that's actually make a really positive impact, that set boundaries from the beginning. And that I just want to like give you kudos and tip of the old hat. Like that, I cannot think of one other person that has like legit set boundaries and built with constraints like you have. And I think that's a testament to your work ethic when you are working, right? And your
Hmm.
creativity and how you can serve, and being very customer, focused, right? Like, cause I know you really serve your clients. Like, you're all about
Right.
investing in their success. And I think if you can get out of your own head about like, oh, how can I make money, or how can I, you know, um, you know, get this launch to really crush, or get this accolade. Like, yes, we all want the accolades and the success, quote unquote, and more money and clients and followers and all the things. But like, as soon as you can judo chop yourself in the neck and be like, no, it's not about me, it's about
Yep.
them, like, that's what makes the magic. I mean, and I know you do that when you are like creating content now. I'm just like kind of bringing it full circle. When you're creating content, like, what's your process? Do you think of a specific person and you're like, hey, this piece of content is for this avatar? Or are you like, well, I'm just kind of curious in your creative process when you are, working.
Yeah, I love that question for sure. I have an avatar in mind. So let's like the first business in the music recording space. I started it because I had so many friends, just like you, like all the
Yeah.
people that asked me the same questions over and over again. They wanted to know what equipment do I need to buy for a little home recording studio? How do I hook it up? How do I use it? I don't want to be an audio engineer. I don't want to know all this stuff. That sounds exhausting and frustrating. I just want to make my music sound good. And so when I started the recording revolution and I started that YouTube channel, I was like, I'm going to make these videos and write these articles and create this content with like these 3 or 4 guys in my mind that I created an amalgamation of. I created an avatar about them, and I'm going to speak to them and them alone. And so they were a very specific person. So the beauty of doing that, and you talked about Rory Vaden, like he's really big on this and getting clear on the avatar. The beauty of doing this is twofold. One, for you as the content creator, it makes it so much simpler. You're not thinking about the world at large, like, well, what will that type of person think, or what will they think? You're like, I'm just going to focus on serving one type of person. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean that other people can't come along for the ride. Like, think about Apple when the iPod came out. This is going old school. Like, some people don't even know what an iPod is, but when before the iPhone,
Yeah.
and they popularized the digital music player, when the iPod came out, they had these ads, the silhouette ads. You remember those? And it was like these silhouettes of people dancing, and they were like white with like the whole, or they were black with the white iPod and the white earbuds against a
Oh
color
yeah, yeah.
background. They were all young. They were all young. They were all dancing to like whatever was young, trendy music circa 2001 and 2 or 3, but like whatever's trendy then. And the clear message was the avatar for the iPod is a young 20 something. Like that's who they are targeting. But if you were alive in the early 2000s, everyone bought an iPod. Your grandma had an iPod. Your
Yeah.
superintendent or your school system had an iPod, because everybody wanted to be young and to be that person. But Apple wasn't marketing it, showing grandmas using it and young people using it. They only showed one type of person using it, but they didn't prohibit selling them to old people. They're like, anybody
Yeah.
can buy them. We'll make millions of dollars. So
Yeah.
that's how I think about my any video I do. I'm imagining one type of person because that allows me to not stress about other people. But then here's the other part. It makes it so much better content because it's so
Mm.
focused and it's so clear. The moment you start to like make it for somebody, but then also somebody else, but also somebody else, it dilutes how powerful the content could be. And
Mm.
this is the key to growing online on anything. And you see this, whether it's social media or YouTube or podcast, it's the content creators that are so dialed into who they're speaking to that they can speak powerfully and clearly. Like that's what makes them grow. It's not appealing to the masses. It's appealing to the one and speaking to the one. I'll even say this in my videos. Instead of saying, hey, everybody, I'll say, hey, friend. I'll speak in the singular instead of the plural. And I'm literally imagining my friend or an amalgamation of them. And I've been doing that for day one for both businesses. It's always who is the one person this is for?
Yeah.
And that helps me create more powerful content.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Apologies for interrupting your programming. But I have to tell you, the best investment you can make in yourself is one in which helps you acquire skills. You've probably heard people talk about, oh, just invest in yourself and you'll be successful. Yes, that's true to a degree, but you have to invest in skills that will ultimately help you achieve your desired results. And I think one of the best skills one can possess, be it an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, is the sales sword. Really knowing how to sell, utilizing pressure free persuasion, which will make you more money and more impact. Now, if you want to know how to sell more efficiently and effectively, I just launched a sales course called The Proven Roadmap Process to Selling Millions of Dollars and helping you to increase your conversions guaranteed. And you can get access to this new sales course that The Happy Hustle is launching at thehappyhustle.com/sales. And if you act fast, you'll get it at the lowest price it'll ever be available because we are launching it and we want to gain amazing testimonials and social proof to further share this knowledge. So if you act fast, you can get it at the lowest price it'll ever be. That's at thehappyhustle.com/sales. Now let's get back to this episode. Yeah. So, I mean, that is, it changes it when you can speak directly to somebody. And yeah, when you think about it, like if you are, and I'll bring up Hormozy again, but you reminded me, like he'll say, you know, the 20-year-old kid out there who's sleeping with my book under the pillow, like I wanted to make this such a foolproof way to build a massive, 8-figure company. And it's like, but if you don't have an 8-figure company right now, you're like, well, hey, I don't care if it's for a 20-year-old. I want this info too, just like the granny wanted the iPod.
Yep.
So it's
Yep.
like, it really is powerful when you could get so dialed in on your avatar. And I know you just did that with Rory in this amazing, brand mastery event. And you got some really cool things coming up for future Graham. Talk to the Happy Hustlers about what's coming out in 2024 and a little tease with your book.
Yeah. So I wrote this book this year. We just dropped it off. Like I dropped it off at school, just delivered it to the publishers. Like, here we go. Drop you off. Have a great day, book. We delivered the manuscript a couple weeks
Bye,
ago.
book.
Yeah. Have a good day. Make good choices. Oh man. This, literally right now, there's like a hurricane coming down towards Florida. So like my brain's like in hurricane mode. But yeah, we delivered the manuscript and it's called Rebel: Find Yourself by Not Following the Crowd. And man, it's a book that's like near and dear to my heart because it's for the person. It could be if you're starting a business or in the business lane, but it's for the person who feels stuck in life. And you're like, is this really what life is? This how I wanted it to go? Like, what's going on? Either you feel stuck, you feel bored, or you feel like you're meant for more, but you just have a vague sense of that. And you don't know what that means or how to become who you're meant to be. And so it's a beautiful book that's going to help people figure out their identity, like who they're supposed to be, get like activated on like their dreams and like what they really care about, not what they think they're supposed to care about. Like my dream died at 22 to be a musician. And so I thought, well, I guess I'll just be a good husband, father, and like tithe at my church and like just stay out of trouble. And while those are good things to be, and like I just went on a rant about how important my family is, I died a little on the inside because I gave up on dreaming about how I could make an impact in the world because my one dream died. Does that make sense? I
Yep.
didn't realize that I could have another dream. I could
Yep.
have the courage to dream again about something else. And now 18 years later, I don't know how many millions of people I've impacted in two different niches, and like the fulfillment of being able to like truly transform lives in a way YouTube didn't even exist when I didn't get my record deal. I didn't even know that was a thing. You never know who you can help and the fulfillment you can have, but you do have to dream again and get crystal clear on
Mm.
being a rebel. Like everyone else conforms, everyone else just goes along. Like, but Carrie, you're a great example. You're a rebel. Like you don't conform. You're like, nope, I've done this, but I'm not going to be boxed in. I'm going to go do this. And so it's for all the rebels out there, or the wannabe rebels. And rebels isn't a bad word. It's about being very true to who you authentically are. Because when you do that, you can give the world your best version of yourself. And so that's what the book's going to be about. It's coming out in 2024. I'm fired up about it.
Heck yeah, I'm fired up about it. I mean, talk about a great read. And I just, it's so cool to hear like you say dream again. Like your one dream potentially died, but you can dream again. You can have another dream given, like doesn't matter how old you are. Like I love seeing those whatever they are, like montages of professionals and when they started their career, like and their household names, like Morgan
Mm,
Freeman started acting at 52, Vera Wang made her first dress at 43, like
yeah.
just like when they go down the hit list of like Spielberg didn't make his first movie, it's like it's so cool to see. And I hope that empowers everyone to dream again. And really, I think that's such a great, you know, book to that needs to be written, frankly, especially because there is a lot of sheeple out there, and
Yeah.
you know, I don't want to sugarcoat it. Like there's a lot of sheeple following the herd. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's sad, especially, mainstream media and like this, whatever, you know, objective of the masses and those, pulling the strings. But like you can dream again, you can be a rebel both in your business, in your community, in your
Hmm.
in your family, in the positive sense of being a rebel. Like you don't have to be, anything but 100% authentically you, but also like don't be afraid to take a chance on yourself and to dream again. And I'm really excited to see that book, man. I hope I get a pre-release copy when it
Oh,
gets the
for
publisher
sure,
green light.
bro. 100%. Yeah, we'll see what the editor does, man. Make it better, because I delivered something to be like, yeah, well, let's make this better, Graham. But yes, it's going to be in your inbox for sure.
Heck yeah. Well, this has been amazing, man. I do want to respect your time. Uh, I usually like to ask all my guests a series of questions on the happy hustle hacks that fit three
Ooh.
different disciplines. First, let's talk about health. I know health is a priority for you. You know, too, like in order to happy hustle in any capacity, you got to have your health dialed in. Do you have something
Yep.
unique maybe that you do, like a tip, a tool, a tactic that we could deem a happy hustle hack for the listeners and viewers out there?
Hey, here's the best thing I've done this year, and it's so boring, but it works. It's walking. Like in all seriousness, like I go for 2 hour, 6 mile walks 3 times a
Oh,
day.
great.
And
Yeah.
I've leaned out so much just by walking in terms of the
Yeah.
fat burning.
Yeah.
And then it clears my head, just clears my head. So I get so many ideas while I walk, and I'm leaning out. So it's incredible.
Yeah. Are you usually bringing headphones, or are you doing it just,
8 times out of 10, I just walk in silence because I'm a
nice.
weirdo.
Yeah.
But it's good for me because I don't like to input too much. Like if I input too much, I sometimes don't get creativity. I need moments of input like this. I want to listen to a
Yeah.
conversation like this and be inspired. But
Yeah.
I find the stillness and the solitude of walking by myself out by, especially by a body of water. I walk by one of the bays here and on the river. Like
Mhm.
when I do that, you'd be surprised how many ideas I get. That still small voice that Elijah heard.
Oh,
Like I
yeah.
feel like I just like it comes to me, and I'm like, that's why I need to tune out the noise every once in a while. So I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm getting my steps in, leaning out, and then ideas flood. I mean, it might take an hour of silence, but then something will come.
Yeah. No, that's a great, simple, free thing for everyone to do. And my buddy Colin O'Brady
Yeah.
does like the 12-hour walk, and he urges everyone to do a full 12-hour walk, no headphones, no nothing. And he wrote a whole book on it. And he summited Everest. He's got the
Oh
fastest like solo
man.
crossing of Antarctica. You should look him up. You'd like him. But yeah, check out 12-hour walk too if you really want to like take it up a notch. Let's
Dude,
talk about money.
that's next level, bro.
Dude, that is. Um, Money, when it comes to my definition, is it's a tool, it's a frequency, it's an
Mm.
energy, right? It makes you more who you are, but you need it in order to happy hustle a life of blissful balance and abundance, right? When it comes to money for you, do you have like a happy hustle hack, maybe something you do to save or invest or spend wisely, something like tactical that we could deem, a happy hustle hack in this arena?
Yeah, I mean, one of the simplest things I started years ago was setting up a online savings account. Like I like Capital One 360 only because it allows me to have unlimited sub accounts with just one
Yeah.
login and you can nickname them. And just the simplest thing of like the old envelope system where you used to stuff cash in different categories, I just automatically have the savings account pull out a certain amount into every fund every single month for like
Mm,
the dumb stuff like car repair, Christmas savings. It pulls a certain amount every month all the way up till December, gifts
yeah.
for people's birthdays, like we saving for my girls' weddings and things like that. So like if it's not a long-term investment and it's just like a hey within the next 3 to 12 months like savings, I just have it as part of my budget, auto pull. I don't even think about it. And then I wake up and go, how much money can we spend on a trip or on Christmas or whatever? And it's all been accumulating in this little nicknamed account.
That's awesome. I actually use Capital One. I didn't know you could even nickname those sub accounts. Mine are all like, 7536 and whatever. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna nickname those like today. So thank you for that. And yeah, really a good book on this one is Ramit Sethi. I Will Teach You to Be Rich, who writes all
Yep.
about how to like automate your savings and investments. So yeah, I recommend that book a lot. Um, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What about spirituality? I know you're big into service and faith. And, for me, like my dad's Catholic, my mom's Jewish. I was raised like this religious mutt. I'm very spiritual. I pray every day. I've done my best to get into Jesus, and maybe we can talk more about this after. I even like I talk to all my friends who are big believers, but I just believe in a higher power, and I think it's important. Doesn't matter what you believe in, like you have to have faith in something bigger than yourself. I'm curious for you, what about like, you know spirituality do you think that you do to connect to a higher power that we could deem a happy hustle hack?
Yeah, it's a great question. And there's a lot we could unpack there. But I would say the biggest thing that I've changed in my spiritual walk in the last 18 months has been journaling. And what I mean by that specifically is, and this is something I wrote about in the new book, by the way, is like I have an acronym for what I do in the mornings with my sort of spiritual time. It's called, the acronym is WAIT, WAIT. So I start with wisdom, like I read wisdom literature. So for me, like I want to read something that's ancient, something that's not trendy, because I think we just are so myopic because of the culture we live in. So I read the Bible because it's ancient manuscripts. It's going to have some wisdom that's outside of time and culture and location. And so I start with reading the Bible for me, but it could be any kind of ancient literature. It could be Aristotle, Socrates, it could be Stoicism, whatever your cup of tea is, or different religious texts. But start with wisdom, and then I journal out some affirmations, which I never did affirmations, but for me, sometimes it's things that I believe God has told me, like promises or things that are coming, or just things I'm learning about myself that I forget. Like sometimes I just have to say, like, I'm confident, because sometimes I'm very insecure
Hmm.
about like the new things I'm doing. Or like the book, like I'm writing a best-selling book that's going to help millions of people. Like remind myself this is going to help people. So I just write some of those out. I is imagination, so WAI, and that's when I do some sort of visualization, which our mutual friend Mike Zeller kind of helped me think through some of this, where like I
Yeah.
try to, whether it's something that's coming up that day, pre-experience it in my mind for 5 minutes, or like I'll get excited about something that's coming up, like the book, like let's say the book launch. I'll pre-imagine it hitting the New York Times and like how that will feel, and the people that are reading it. I see it in like an airport, bookstore. I see someone reading it on the bus. Like I start to just imagine those things. Or it might be like a difficult conversation I'm going to have with a team member. Like I just fired a guy last week, and it's like I pre-imagine that conversation, it going well, and how could I
Mm,
like serve him gracefully on the way out. Like so I just try to like create more neural pathways in my mind. So that's the I. And then T is thankfulness, so gratitude. And I just
mm,
write down 5 to 10 things I'm grateful for. So wait, WAIT, like that in my time with the Lord, like in the morning, spiritually speaking, those are basics that anybody can do, whether you're spiritual or not. But I will say that the element for me as a Christ follower is I believe God speaks. And so I actually, to the stillness point, I try to, when I've been reading the Bible and writing down things I'm grateful for, like I try to like ask God like specific questions like I would ask you or a mentor. Like if I had coffee with a mentor, like, hey, what do you think I should do about X? Like I will ask those questions and then I will sit in silence and wait for an answer. And then the first thoughts that pop in my head, I'll write down. If it's especially if it's something that doesn't feel like I would have thought of it, I'll write it down and put quotations next to it. And I've learned to hear that still small voice,
Hmm.
and it's been crazy. It might sound weird for some people. I was talking about this with Rory at dinner and a few people the other night in Nashville. Like it's been crazy how often that voice has been right, and I've done things that it said. And some people call it intuition, trusting your gut, but like taking the time in the morning to listen to that and write it down so you can reference it months later, as opposed to just like hitting Instagram, hitting your email, or even working out. Like I need to hear in that quietness before I jump out into the day and go create.
Wow. Wait. Wisdom, affirmations, imagination, and thankfulness. That's great, man. That is that's a great affirmation. And really awesome happy hustle hack. So thanks for sharing. That's powerful. All right, man. This has been phenomenal, Graham. And I want to put you through the rapid fire round and then we'll just wrap this interview up. This is where I just ask you random questions and you answer honestly. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. First
All right.
answer.
Let's go. Favorite food?
Pizza.
Favorite movie?
Ooh, anything from Christopher Nolan.
Favorite book?
Oh, I just freaking love The Go-Giver by Bob Berg.
Mm. What's your spirit animal?
Ooh, probably a Wolverine.
Nice. Best business advice?
Oh, give so much away that people think you're crazy.
Ah, yeah. Love that. Make the noise of your happy hustle rebel yell.
Caw-caw!
Three things you're most grateful for.
Oh, Jesus, my family, and living in the United States of America, which is controversial these days, but I'm very grateful I live here.
Same. And if you had a billboard for the world to see with your last piece of content on it, what's that billboard read, Graham?
Oh, it would probably be Dream Again.
Hmm. Powerful, brother. And I just want to take a moment to acknowledge you just for sharing your love, your light, your wisdom, your rebel nature, and your ability to extract the tangible steps from building a successful online business to then share with others. Like I think you've done so in such a amazing way, and I really hope everyone takes you up on that free gift of yours, that workshop, because that's like, I mean, that's gold. So I just want to say thank you, just truly, man. I'm just so excited to just know you and collaborate with you and support you and just continue our friendship. So thank you, man.
Bro, you are the friggin' man. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing. You're helping so many people, so keep it up.
Thank you, bro. I received that. Now, where can people go? Just give us some links online. I know we got grahamcochrane.com/gift, but where can people follow you online and just kind of see more of your content?
Yeah, I would say the YouTube channel, just look up Graham Cochrane and then hang out with me on Instagram at the Graham Cochrane.
The Graham Cogman. All right, awesome. So we'll link all that up in the show notes, guys. Now, just to put a bow on everything we talked about, before I ask you the final question, what would you say if you're gonna, just culminate our time together and give the people maybe like a call to action? Will you a call to arms? Maybe something to inspire them to go out there and dream again. Give it to them, Graham.
Yeah, I would just say think about the person that needs your help. There's someone out there that needs your help, and that could be you're starting a business or just encouraging somebody. But ask yourself, if I could help one type of person, who would I help and what would I want to help them do? And just see where that conversation goes internally.
Mm, love it, Graham. Final question, man. What does happy hustling mean to you?
Loving what you do for a living because you're making people's lives better at the same time.
Mic drop, y'all. Graham Cochrane, thank you for watching and listening. We are out. Peace and love, everyone.